Good afternoon. Okay, so I was watching Mike Winger's videos as I promised I would so that I can learn how to do this whole YouTube thing. And he had a suggestion. You need to find something that you like to do, a hobby, something that you're good at, and just, work with that. Well, one of my hobbies, which is what I've been doing, is reading the Bible. Another one of my hobbies that I have that I can actually share evidence of now is that I love to spend time on my own doing different projects, right? Every single summer I have a few things that I've planned to do, and yeah, just execute them. So today's project, kitchen. I bought a new table because I had an extremely huge oval table, and I thought it's nice to have something round, something nice, so that we don't have to walk into our walls all the time. Another thing is that my cooker broke and I had to purchase a new one. Being an adult is extremely expensive. I am not enjoying the process. Okay, so Bible. You thought just because I didn't have the book in front of me. Well, later on, I want us to have a read of Nehemiah. And the reason I want us to look at Nehemiah is because God has been putting Nehemiah in my heart for many, many, many months now. I didn't understand why. It looked like one of those lamentation types books, more numbers or something. But as you know, those of you who read the Bible a lot happens in those, in between the genealogies and so on. But I read Nehemiah, and after reading chapter 5, I understood exactly why God would have me at this moment, this season of my life, read this book. Now, for those of you who don't know, Nehemiah was a governor in Israel. And this book was actually written right about the time that Jerusalem was destroyed. Okay, Jerusalem's walls were destroyed and King Nebuchadnezzar had taken over, Babylon had taken over, and so on. So Nehemiah is grieved at the beginning of the book. He's grieved because the walls don't stand anymore. His people are desolate, his people are scattered. And he's extremely saddened by this. And in the first chapter of Nehemiah, we see one thing that I really used to struggle with when it came to the Bible, but now I understand that it sort of goes hand in hand with the nature of who God is. Here we see Nehemiah going to God, in honesty, in his weakness, as David often did, in the Psalms when he's grieved. Going to God, talking about how, the people, they have sinned against God, and now the city's been destroyed, and he's feeling sad about this. Nehemiah, though, is a man that understands how the systems work. And the reason I say that there is something in the beginning of Nehemiah that I had an issue with, that I now have come to understand is pretty consistent with God's character and how he does things, is that Nehemiah still went to appeal to the leader of the place where he was to be able to go ahead and rebuild the wall, okay, or commission people to the different tribes of Israel to rebuild the wall. Now, in the beginning, I was like, why is Nehemiah even going to this human person to ask for help? I mean, he has God, and these leaders, they're not legitimate, surely. Anyway, this is my own understanding. But what we see in Nehemiah is that Nehemiah actually does go to God for permission. He does go to God for strength. He goes to God and he asks God to help him, as he's speaking to this leader, that God may make the leader have favor on Nehemiah, not because Nehemiah is trying to appeal to God so that God can help him to appease or please somebody, which is, I think, a very, very faulty way of looking at things that Christians often have, and I've certainly been guilty of it. Well, until I maybe I shouldn't say that, but well, it's the truth. Once I did tell an employer that it was really up to God, as with much respect. But I'll say no more, because I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, because we're not called to be disrespectful to authority figures. However, our main authority is God. Anyway, going back to Nehemiah, the error would be to believe that Nehemiah is asking God. And if you wonder what I'm putting together, okay, you see, this is why you have to think about systems before you start doing anything. So what I've done is I've ordered a sort of Frankenstein table. This is a round white tabletop from Sofa Company. I wish I took pictures of actually I do have pictures, but I wish I took a video of me taking down the old table. But this is basically supposed to be a little bit like the old table I had. I had a huge oval white table with metallic white legs. This one is an oval white table because I wanted to maintain that same vibe. My deco is sort of organized around that. Put everything up myself, by the way. But with oak legs. Now these two do not actually belong to the same family of table, but they are from the same company. Luckily the legs actually fit, but what I didn't think was how I'm going to put the fixture. There's a slight slope. So I should have first taken the time to study, look at the system, and adjust it accordingly. All right, what was I talking about? Nehemiah, yes. So the error would be to believe that Nehemiah needs to go to God so that God can help him appeal to a human being. No, that's not the case. Nehemiah recognizes, and we will see this throughout the book. I cut myself earlier when I was cutting boxes for these things. Nehemiah recognizes that the ultimate authority is with God. And if you're in doubt about that, we are going to see that as we go ahead and read the rest of Nehemiah. In fact, maybe I should get the Bible now and just read it. But let me just give a quick summary, and then we'll look over exactly the parts that I'm talking about. You'll notice I'm not a really big fan of reading a verse in the Bible, even at church or when somebody speaks about a verse or something. I have to go back and read the whole chapter, just because I think that context really is everything, and answers get, questions get answered along the way as we read. I didn't plan this video. Honestly, I was just watching this Mike Winger advice, and as I often do with YouTube or anything, once I think I get it, I can't even finish. I just need to go on and do the next thing, right? So like apply what it is I'm learning. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm sort of enjoying, actually. I know it sounds really, really weird, but there is a verse in the Bible that says, "Do not despise the small beginnings," and I'm really enjoying the time that I have in this period where this YouTube channel is sort of like a little bit of not really a secret, because I'm not keeping it from the people I know on purpose. I just don't want it to morph into something that isn't what it's intended to become, all right? I.e. the Emma show. I mean, we all know how it was back when social media first started. We all used to post for fun. We didn't care so much about the likes. We used to write really stupid things on people's walls, post stupid pictures, and then as it blew up and our parents started joining in and everything like that, suddenly we started getting that. You understand what I mean? And dopamine with the likes started to become an issue. And some of us, I'm not talking about myself here necessarily, but I've seen this of a lot of people. Some people who were amazing, had amazing voices, amazing ideas, just shut themselves up because it was no longer cool to be seen. Anyway, I digress. Nehemiah. So as we read the book of Nehemiah and we examine how he responds to different issues that come up in the book, we get a lot of revelation. First of all, Nehemiah, I would argue, had a heart similar to a Joseph. Why do I say that? I say that because of their responses in two matters. Joseph's response that I'm thinking about, actually even David, all these people who love the Lord, Joseph's response that I'm thinking about is when he was tempted by Potiphar's wife to sleep with her, this very, very beautiful woman, and Joseph was a very, very handsome man. Many people in this day and age who judge everything just on perishing outward appearances would go for it, right? But no, he didn't go for it. And look at his response in the Bible. His response wasn't, I don't want to do this because it's not right by me. It's not, I don't want to dishonor my boss, my master. None of that. He literally said, I cannot, I'm paraphrasing now, it's been a long time since I've read that particular passage, but how can I commit this sin against God? He said. And the reason I'm likening that to Nehemiah is because Nehemiah, later, when he does actually get the provision to be able to rebuild this wall, and he gets the support that he needs, this was actually done correctly, he gets the support that he needs, he has a lot of people trying to scare him out of not doing what God commissioned him to do. What is his response every time? His response is, well, first, he actually reflects on who the messenger is. Where is this coming from? Is this person sent by God? Again, we are going to read the scripture shortly. Then he considers, does what they are saying actually line up to the God that I know? Okay? His laws and precepts. We're going to see exactly what I mean when we read. Hopefully you're going to be there with me. This really hurts my knees. By the way, I was by no means wearing proper clothes today. I wore this because I thought I was going to be on camera. But the funny thing is these are actually gym clothes, and that may be ought to be my next project. But anywho, Nehemiah examines the people, and every single time, without, is it dropping a heartbeat? Anyway, every single time, his response. He knows his God. He knows God is mighty. He does not need to fear. His encouragement to the people, have no fear. That sounds really light, right? Just to tell people have no fear. But when you understand the context of this story, you'll understand just how much faith that took, right? How much faith that took. And we talk a lot about faith in this channel. Anyway, I'm at 13 minutes now. I think it's still 15 minutes is the maximum. I don't edit these things. I'm not going to edit this. Maybe I'll edit it later on after the fact. Again, I'm enjoying having an audience of one right now. Glory to God. But I know that's not the intention. I left the window open. And now there is a fruit fly. I'll be back with the Bible. Hopefully you'll be back. You will be. If you are meant to be. I believe my voice, just like anybody else's voice who is aligned to God, is actually, intended for a specific audience. So I'm actually not that worried. I'm not that worried. I know. I want to do well though, because it's God's project. I want to learn. But yeah. I love you. We shall see how this all turns out. Toodles. Toodles. Oy.